Hey you guys, welcome to this tutorial. Today we're going to be going over top command, basically how to read it. So it might sound a little bit complicated when you first see it, but I'll explain to you how to read it from the top. Alright, so as you see up here, you guys, there's a lot of information coming at you, so it can be a little bit intimidating. So the very first row on the top left, as you guys can see, will be the current time. So I'll put my mouse over here. So is the current time right here. This is the uptime, how long it's been on. This how many users, and this is the load average. So the first load average is 1 minute. This is 5 minutes, and this is 15 minutes. So the load average basically is really important because right now I have, let's say if I have one CPU, right, and my load average is 1, that's not good. If it's 2, that's even worse. If it's 3, that's like unoperable, right? So the load average will show you the 1 minute mark of the load average, and then 5 minutes and 15 minutes. But the load average honestly is really dependent on how many CPU, how many like cores you have and stuff like that. So that's one thing to remember. And then the second row that you guys are looking at now, the first one will be the task. So it's total processes running, right? And then the second one next to it will tell you how many processes that you have running, which will be right here. And then you have 82 sleeping, 0 stopped. And then the last one, it says 0 zombie. So basically what a zombie is, it's a process that has to be completed, or I'm sorry, it's a process that has completed execution, but still has an entry in the process table. So that's why it's called a zombie. This entry still needs to allow the parent process to read it and basically the child to exit the status. So in a nutshell, basically what it's saying, it's basically waiting for the parent processes to stop. So once the parent's process stops, then the child will stop. So it basically executed what it needed to do, and it's just kind of like laying around there or just sitting around there. Alright, so the next row is the actual CPUs. So the first one is the user process of CPU in percentage, which we have 00. As you can see, the US, so it's the user process of CPU percentage. And then the system process of CPU in percentage. So basically the system, how much of the, or percent of the CPU it's using. So the next one is the priority upgrade NICE and CPU. What NICE is, I'll make a video on that so you guys know what that is. So the next one is percentage of the CPU that's not being used. It's 100%. That's what the ID means, so how much of it is not being used. And then the next one is how many processors are waiting for input-output operations. None are waiting. And then the next one over there, as you can see, the 00.si is basically serving hardware interrupts of CPU percentage. So basically like interrupt requests, there's 0. And the last one is basically the CPU serving software interrupts. So there's hardware interrupts like your mouse and your keyboard, and then you have software interrupts, which is 0. All right. So the next one, the next row that we're going to be looking at, actually, let me go back here a little bit. The actual last one here, it's actually the amount that's stolen. It's called ST for steal. So is the amount of CPU stolen from the virtual machine by the hypervisor for other tasks. So such as running another virtual machine, this will be 0 on a desktop and server without virtual machine. So if it has a virtual machine, you'll actually see this things moving. But yeah, like I said, the HI is hardware interrupt, and the SI is software interrupt. Just FYI. All right, and then we have the memory one. It's basically going to show you the rows and going to show you the RAM usage, total memory in use, free and buffers and cached. So all that information is on there. So the buffer and the cache, you have the used, how much is free, and the total memory that you have. All right, and now we're getting to the PID and the user. As we can see here, if you look at the PID, it'll give you the process ID number. And then the next one for user is the user that is the owner of the process. And then the next one is PR, which is a priority. This is the first one is a priority of 20, right? Next one is the nice value, is 0. So basically negative 20 means it's not nice, meaning that it has the highest priority. And if it's like positive 20, it means that it has the lowest priority. Next one is virt. This is the actual virtual memory used by the process. The next one is RES, which is the physical memory used by the process. And then the next one over there is the shared memory of the process. So how much memory of its memory is being shared. And then S indicates the status of the process. So as you see S right here, so S means that it's sleeping. As you can see, S all the way down. The processes are sleeping. If you see a R there, it means it's running. And if you see a Z, it means it's a zombie. Just basically just waiting around. All right, and the next one, as you can see, is CPU percentage. This is the percentage of CPU that's being used by that process at that one time. Right now we have all zeros. And then we have the memory percentage. There's a percentage of the RAM that's being used at that moment. And then we have the time. This is the total time of the activity of this process. So this, how long this has been running. And then at the end, we have command. And this is the name of the process. So basically, that kind of helped you guys explain everything. It's really not too complicated. It's fairly simple to use. You can also use like the C button. As you can see how it changes up here. You see, you have different like ways you can look at it. So you can press M for the memory. So for me, I'm a visual person, so I like to look at it like this. It tells you it's 3.1 or 31.7, right? How much you have left over. And it has a bar, how much memory you have, and this is your swap space on the bottom. But it's pretty cool. It shows you like how much memory you have. You can press M. There's C for CPU, so you can lay it out how you want to. There's also a help menu that tells you what these buttons mean to make it easier for you guys. You guys can look over here. There's also a man page for top, so we can quit out of here, type in man top, and it gives you a lot of information about this. So it's a lot more info. You guys can always dig into this and look at all the information. Please leave a comment and subscribe, and thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.